Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the launch of the African Youth Economic Forum. My name is Seth Mulli, and I am the Executive Director of Youth Bridge Trust, but also the lead of the African Youth Economic Forum. The African Youth Economic Forum is a partnership between Youth Bridge Trust, African Peer Review Mechanism, and Reset Global People. Thank you for joining us today. It's an honor and a pleasure to be able to share and stand here today as we unite as one voice as a young people to constructively come up with solutions to our continent's most pressing needs. I believe that Africa's future truly lies in its young people and that the future of the African continent is in its young people. With more than 200 million young people aged between the ages of 15 to 24, Africa has the youngest population in the world, and youth are our greatest asset. Many have said that this is a ticking time bomb. However, we see it differently. We see this as a huge opportunity to harness the potential of youth to drive the economic and social transformation in their countries and lead the continent to a prosperous future. To paraphrase Martin Luther King, Africa confronts the fierce urgency of now. As mentioned, the African Youth Economic Forum is a continental-wide platform in partnership with the African Peer Review Mechanism, an organ of the African Union, as well as Youth Bridge Trust and Reset Global People. The purpose of the African Youth Economic Forum is to convene young people to contribute towards the achievement of the Agenda 2063, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, as well as the African Youth Charter. African Youth Economic Forum is truly about sharing information, peer learning, and the co-development of solutions. Importantly, the hosting of the summit is part and parcel of the commemorative events making the 15th anniversary of the coming into force of Africa of the Youth Charter. The key outcome of the African Youth Economic Forum is to mobilize African youth, including its diaspora, to understand the intricacies of Agenda 2063, the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, and the African Youth Charter. The forum will also assist in finding national level accelerating factors to the African Free Trade Agreement, in operationalizing them to help young people understand them, but to help also assist them in implementing the Africa Free Trade Agreement. Thank you for being part of this, and we're so excited. Excellent. So as mentioned, the African Youth Economic Forum is a platform for peer learning, and one of the co-hosts and the co-founders of the African Youth Economic Forum is my colleague, Lennon Monyae, who will be coming to just give a little bit more information, but also just introduce our speakers for the event. If you've joined us today, thank you for being part of us. Let us know in the chat section where you're watching from. Would love to know who you are and where you're watching from. And if you're on here and you'd like some other people to join, share the link and let's ensure that everyone is participating in this inaugural event. Off to Lennon Monyae.
Colleagues, welcome to the Africa Youth Economic Forum. My name is Lennon Monyae. I work at the African Peer Review Mechanism Continental Secretariat. I'm greeting you from the studios in Sandton, South Africa. I want to thank you, colleagues that are joining from Maputo, Mozambique, Accra, Ghana, colleagues in N'Djamena, Chad. Thank you. We are honored to have you here. Right now, I'm going to ask a brother of mine, Mr. Moussa Kondo, who's coming straight from Mali and has had vast experience in working with youth. He chairs the African Peer Review Mechanism Youth Network. Right now, he's coming in to give in the key statement, a statement of encouragement, how young people can connect, how we can get the economy going, given that we have COVID-19. So right now, I want to thank you. Please tune in for Mr. Moussa Kondo, who's coming in from Mali. Thank you so much, colleagues.
Hi, everyone. Sorry for the jingle. My name is Moussa. Lennon said I'm really happy and humbled to be part of this incredible initiative. And also, I first want to start my conversation by thanking really high honorable members of the APRM leadership. I mean, to get this ideas to include and also emphasize on youth participation in all the activities, and also put them in a high level so we can definitely be part of what concerns us, not just the implementation part, but also the process of putting things together. My different colleagues here from different regions of the continent, all protocol observed, I want to thank you so much for your hard work. I'm really happy to take the floor in this opportunity to talk about the Youth Economic Forum, which is incredibly important for many reasons for us. As you've seen from the Sahel region to East Africa, Central Africa, we've seen a lot of incredible and extremism violence happening in our continent, which is targeting everywhere African youth. Because when you take the combatants, whatever they are from the government side, whatever they are from the armed group side, whatever they are in rebels group side, they are all composed of youth. And these brothers and sisters who are in the other side of the system is not sometimes because they want to fight against their own countries or they want to fight or kill their own brothers and sisters, but they have just been in a position they cannot obviously be in position to take decisions or also understand the dynamics or be part of the system instead of being against the system. So the work we're trying to do is to get all this together so we can definitely convey, sensitize, and also emphasize by putting in place mechanism and system work which could include everyone to make it inclusive, to make the participation high. So whatever they are in rural or urban cities in our countries, they could be part of the process. So they build the process all together. When you say the different topics which will be developed in this program and conversation, which is concerning the empowerment and leadership of youth in the young population in in the African trade free agreement. These are incredibly important because to be part of something, you have to understand first we have a free movement between us, and after that, the way we can travel among African countries easily, which would help us to develop our ideas or business wherever we are in the continent. And also the other thing, developing, leveraging the African youth dividend for youth empowerment and women empowerment. These are all part of the different mechanisms we need to put together to strengthen our youth population. And also when we talk about the health, the well-being and health issues, I just want to make a quick stop on the COVID-19 pandemic era where young people have been playing incredible work through arts presentation to visualize this pandemic to people in our continent who have not been at school, who cannot read, or who have not been at school. So to be sure they are part of the process. And also something is important to emphasize is the way a lot of youth organizations took the lead even before the government started doing planning by providing personal protective equipment, and also the frontliners in the combat against COVID-19. And also a lot of other initiatives in terms of governance where youth organizations have been working hard to emphasize on following the money, as a lot of corruptions happening around this COVID-19 response funding. So this initiative today about economic forum, economic engagement, we've seen a lot of consequences we're living today is the midst of this connection between the youth and economic opportunities. So this organization, this meeting, conversation, tends to bring these two biggest point to meet, so we can have a really important issues at the end of the conference. So I want to thank you so much for listening, and also be sure at the end of this panels and of this conference, we can link how to get these informal young people working in the business, making things happen from very different areas in our continent, to the materials and also initiatives we are putting in place so they can take advantage of it and feel themselves part of the system, not against the system. So we see less young people engaging in the armed group to silencing the guns as been one of the biggest topic of African Union, and also be productive as a youngster, all this energy to make things happening and the fastest possible in our countries. So thank you so much for this time and listening.
Thank you, colleagues. You're joining us live from Sentence Studios. As you may be aware, this event is actually a pre-event for the official APRM Day celebrations that are starting at 3 p.m. South African time. And in organizing this event, we're the Africa's 6th region, colleagues, Black Africans in the United States, Black Americans that came together to assist in helping us build the Africa that we want. So coming in, representing the African diaspora, is Professor Ezrah Aharone, who is the founding director of Center for Global Africa. He has had 39 years experience working with the African continent, African leaders, business leaders. So he's coming in straight from the United States, from Delaware. He's gonna give us a message of support. Tell us what the African diaspora can do in promoting youth in business, in promoting the free trade agreement. So I'm going to ask Professor Ezrah to address the panelists. Thank you so much.
Greetings to everyone. Yes, I'm tuning in from the 6th region, and first let me say all protocols observed. It's really such a great pleasure to be here and to see the excitement and the young faces of everyone here. It's an honor to be invited, and I want to thank the organizers. You know, the concept of the 6th region is very important generally, and to me, very important specifically, because it represents a new charge that should come along with an agenda to bring about transformative change. And so when I see the people and I'm hearing about the work and listening to the partnerships that have been established, the ideas that are being shared, all of these things are central to the great, the necessary, the potential, the transformative nature of things that I look to come out of the conference. And you may see I have a few gray hairs and wonder, well, is Professor Aharone part of the youth? Well, yes, I am. I'm part of the youth in the sense that not only am I bringing fresh ideas and receiving fresh ideas, but I also represent a host of students, not only from Delaware State University and the Center for Global Africa, but also students that are part and aligned with our great partnerships that we have with other historically Black colleges and universities. And so I want to share a bit about what we're doing at the Center for Global Africa and how it's important as the Center for Global Africa sees it to connect the academics of historically Black colleges and universities to the economies and opportunities and people in Africa in meaningful and measurable ways. a lot of you may be hearing the term HBCU for the first time. And I want you to become very familiar with that terminology, HBCU. It stands for Historically Black Colleges and Universities. And HBCUs grew out of the period here in America where after enslavement, Africans were unable to receive education at the majority white schools. And so Black universities were set up for that purpose, to begin to educate formerly captive Africans. And so today we have over 100 HBCUs. And our partnership at the Center for Global Africa includes the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, which supports and organizes 47 of those great HBCUs, which are partners with us. So as I speak to you, I want you to know that I'm bringing the full force of all of the young people of those universities with me to join hands, to join forces with you all, so that we can become this unified collective front to take on these challenges that are going to make Agenda 2063 very real and very relevant, so that we can create the Africa we want. And at the same time, at the 6th region, we say we're creating the 6th region that we want, the counterpart to the Africa we want. But let me give you a little history too, so you can understand something about HBCUs, because the connection to Africa may be a bit unknown, but those connections are historical, because 3 of Africa's first presidents after independence attended HBCUs. From Ghana, President Kwame Nkrumah attended Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. And so did Nnamdi Azikiwe. He attended Lincoln University in Pennsylvania and also Howard University in Washington, D.C. Azikiwe was the first president of Nigeria. And then Hastings Banda, the first president of Malawi, attended Mahari University. And so we have this rich common history that the Center for Global Africa looks to continue that legacy in a 21st century way, in ways that we're able to combine the new technologies of this era of time that we live in, to combine them with ideas, understanding that in this 21st century world, ideas are currency. Intellectual capital is the greatest form of capital on earth, more so than any type of natural resource capital, because intellectual capital is always replenishable. Natural resources may be exhaustible, but we can always look to refuel what we learn and what we know. 1 + 1 is 2 all over the world. It doesn't matter where you go. But what you do with that 2 is so significant. And in this case, I'm using 2 as a metaphor, because the end use of what you know and applying the end use of what you know is more important than what you know, because people commonly say that information is power. If information were power in and of itself, there'd be no internet with unlimited forms of information that you can have at the touch of your fingers. But what you do with that information is critical. And so today I'm here to help contribute to this process of this metaphor of the 2, to transform that 2 into the many different types of advancements, technologies, innovations that are necessary to create the Africa we want. And so I assure you, I stand by you as I represent, as I said, the full force of the students in the universities, that we are here at the Center for Global Africa to help create both the Africa we want as well as the sixth region we want. And I look forward to engaging you over the next 2 days. And thank you so much again for inviting me.
Thanks, Prof, for that great statement, and a huge welcome to all those tuning in from the United States. Profound statement, and I think it's imperative the diaspora forms part of building the economic future of the continent. So thank you so much. Our next speaker, who's going to give us a keynote, is the CEO of Businesswoman Africa Enterprise. Her name is Ms. Gonaya Sethora. I just want to give you a brief background about her and what she does. She's a young female leader, activist, and entrepreneur. She's just completed her Bachelor's of Engineering degree in Telecommunications. She's the former first female SRC president of New Era University College of Arts and Science and Technology in Botswana. She's also the Entrepreneur Africa Executive Committee leader for the Commonwealth Secretariat and the former Regional Finance Director of Southern Africa Students Youth Development Association. Ms. Gonaya, please, welcome to the African Youth Economic Forum.
Thank you so much, Seth Mulli. Just to correct my name, the spelling of my name is Gonaya Monei Sethora from the Republic of Botswana. I'm a 26-year-old diplomatic entrepreneur, originally from Botswana, but currently given this address from Accra, which is the AFTA Secretariat home. Esteemed co-hosts of the African Youth Economic Forum, esteemed representatives of African Peer Review Mechanism, esteemed representatives of Youth Bridge Trust, the esteemed representatives of Recent Global, the teeming youth of 40 African Union member states. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, protocol is highly observed. It is an extraordinary honor to be granted the opportunity to be the keynote speaker at this high-level event. This summit, amongst other things, is aimed at promoting Agenda 2063, UN SDGs, and commemorate the 15th anniversary of the coming into force of the Africa Youth Charter. As things stand, ladies and gentlemen, not all member states of the African Union have signed the African Youth Charter. It is you and I who have to push so that the youth agenda is placed high in the African governance. This August platform is another opportunity, of course, to continue efforts in sharing information, inspiring, learning, and empowering the young African to achieve the Agenda 2063 and 2030 agenda for sustainable development goals. Over time, ladies and gentlemen, the role of youth has become more pronounced in the continental policy dispensation. A time where the continent has finally moved to mobilize the full complement of its resources and, most importantly, its people to transform the continent through an integrated blueprint, which is the African Union Agenda 2063. The Union has worked around the clock to ensure a targeted investments and design effective intervention for young Africans to spark discussions on key areas for increasing investments in youth, driving policy change, and setting member countries on a path towards a prosperous future for African countries. It calls for innovative, multi-sectoral approaches that holistically address youth experiences across the continent in all spheres, including employment, education, health, and governance sectors. Dear brothers and sisters, the youth of Africa on numerous platforms like this one have fully acknowledged as a house of the African have fully acknowledged as the powerhouse of the African economy. With much credence to the skill capital, the statistics of population advantage, future innovation, leadership, diplomacy, orientation, and more. Indeed, the numbers attest to the fact that Africa has the most youthful population on earth. And thus, it is vital to the youth of Africa to understand their role when it comes to continental development. Ladies and gentlemen, Pan-Africanism and African integration, Africa Free Trade Area and free movement of people protocol is a critical area. And as Businesswoman Africa organization, we wish to share our opinion. Once again, the evidence of the youth leading advocacy and public relations to drive the sensation, for the newly enacted African Continental Free Trade Area is highly commendable. Currently, myself, ladies and gentlemen, and other young people, such as the Secretary General of the AFTA Secretariat, Mr. Emmanuel Bansa of Ghana, and other young people have, over the past months here in Ghana, actively driving policy engagements and other activities to ensure the AFTA implementation to its success. But there's so much more to be done by the youth. The youth must begin to form or join active industry associations that can champion that cause when it comes into intra-regional trade. By so doing, they can be easy facilitation of trade, exports, transactions across the continent. Youth participation and leadership in political, civic, and economic developments at all levels with regards to the African Free Trade Area is also key, ladies and gentlemen. Young Africans must participate in legislative and executive efforts in contributing to the policies that guide the AFTA. It is so refreshing to know that the Secretary General of the AFTA Secretariat is a youth. Hence, we must encourage other compatriots to occupy trade positions in government, form strong networks like Businesswoman Africa, of course, the APRM Youth Network, the Reset Global People, to come together as youth and try to drive the continental agendas. Thank you. As Businesswoman Africa, ladies and gentlemen, we also have over the past year since our establishment 3 years back, in our special ways, contributed to creating a leverage for African youth dividend for youth empowerment and women empowerment. Women empowerment, we also believe is very critical to improving the development quotient of the continent. The more confident, educated, and resourceful the woman population of the various continents and the African Union become, the stronger systems and the stronger the countries become. It is therefore important that whether at schools, markets, religious groups, political organizations, courts, industry unions, professional networks, the legislature, or even at home, the woman figure must be granted equity to resources and technical support as much as their talent or ambitions demand. This support we offer as Businesswoman Africa will turn around to our benefit. For example, an empowered, well-oriented market woman would desist from selling deteriorated produce in the market with high nutritional value. Also, a well-motivated woman who is a nurse will treat patients with much care than a woman without motivation or empowerment. An empowered woman and well-informed wife would know how to use internet to do their children's homework at home. Ladies and gentlemen, trying to cut my speech short. In 2019, 2019 ended with high prospects for Africa. We can agree that with a lot of financial pundits projecting the continent as a destination for investments. Ghana, for instance, where I am currently, attracted millions of dollars through tourism on the backdrop of the year of the return. While Nigeria attracted numerous capital or investment into budding corporations and expanding brands were directed towards the nation's economy. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it is highly relevant that youth of Africa begin to leverage on the opportunities that we are given, such as this a platform of the African Youth Economic Forum. Esteemed partners, in conclusion, I would like to say that all of us have a responsibility, and this is particularly the case of young people on the continent, to do our part to help advance the course of development and progress on the continent. We need to create peer networks linking young people on the continent with counterparts elsewhere to share experiences and lessons learned, to mentor and coach one another, and most of all, to establish communities, support, and be source of positive reinforcement to one another. It is my hope that our collective inputs would instigate the mobilization of African youth, including its diaspora, to understand the cases of Agenda 2063 and the UN SDGs, the AFTA and the African Youth Charter. Additionally, Businesswoman Africa is ready to team up with stakeholders, like this extraordinary platform, to provide opportunities for African young people to engage with each other, share lived experiences, learn the best practices in various economic thematic areas, and produce youth-friendly and knowledge products. Thank you once again for your undeserved audience and confidence in me. Thank you so much, dear Lennon. God bless Africa.
Thank you, Ms. Sethora, the CEO of Businesswoman Africa. Great thoughts around the Continental Free Trade Agreement, particularly around how women can form part of it. And we look forward to engaging with you further. Thank you for all the great opening remarks that we had, and a welcome to all those that have joined us to the African Youth Economic Forum, a partnership between the African Peer Review Mechanism, YouthBridge Trust, and Reset Global People. Do know we're also live on Agenda 2063 TV. We'll share the link in the chat section. So if you would like to share it with people, please go ahead and do that. We're moving on to session 1 of this inaugural event. And the session is around governance, empowerment for youth participation in leadership in the political, civic, and economic developments at all levels with regards to the Africa Free Trade Agreement. We're going to be punting this because we truly believe that the Africa Free Trade Agreement is an opportunity for young people to participate, especially those that are business owners or want to start their own businesses. So this session will be moderated by the African Peer Review Mechanism. So Lennon will be moderating that session. But before we go into that session, here's a little video just showing you and informing you around the work of the African Peer Review Mechanism. Enjoy.
What we do as APRM is we are an organization of the African Union. So we conduct reviews in countries.
One of the biggest challenges facing the continent is really good governance, or the absence of it. The objective is to promote good governance at the political level, economic level, corporate good governance, and socio-economic development. Those are the 4 pillars.
That's really the core business of the APRM, conducting reviews of countries and writing reports on those countries, and then working with those countries to implement the reports of their own on the state of governance in their own countries.
And it is so important for Africa to have this kind of tool, because governance is critical to socioeconomic development.
We have to ask ourselves the question to say, therefore, we need, in the first instance, a partnership among ourselves as Africans, not only country to country, but also people to people.
Universities constantly advise policy makers. When governments in those countries articulate policy, they don't articulate policy in the vacuum. No, they articulate policy which is evidence-based. So that's what we want to encourage on our continent.
Good governance must be promoted. Good governance must not only look at processes, but also look at deliverables.
Millions of young people in Africa bear the brunt of poverty, unemployment and other social ills. This platform hopes to propel young people to become drivers of solutions.
We cannot just assume that we can train young leaders to fall into line with our established systems here on the continent and economic models.
And what we're going to do is we're going to create the Africa we want.
Where is Africa located in the 4th Industrial Revolution?
What are the policies in place that allow us to thrive in 4IR?
We are not too young to be relevant.
The youth and the women of this continent are really not just the future of the continent, but our biggest asset right from now.
And we think the best way to reflect more clearly on the Africa we want to see is to do it with young people.
So the youth are you could say, the heartbeat, the majority of our population on the continent. So we cannot really envisage this future Africa, united continent, without factoring in the role and position of our youth in it.
And I believe very strongly that if we harness the power of the youth and women, we can achieve the Africa we all want.
And so as the youth, we must have the courage to stand up and take responsibility and say, here is an issue, let us figure out a way to solve it, because it lies with us.
And I think whether in parliament, whether at the mayor level, at the council level, at the presidency level, at the minister level, young people have to be in every single key position of leadership.
And I think that the APRM provides a unique platform for civil society, business and government to talk about governance issues in ways that are sometimes not possible or not encouraged in countries. And so I think it's a wonderful tool that really can open up the conversation about how the lives of people are made better.
The African peer review system should not be treated as incidental, that you do everything else and when you've done whatever, in your spare time, you say, well, what about the African peer review? I think it has to be integral. It has to be integral to everything that we do every day.
Now, we have made tremendous progress. And what do we need to do? We need to do more of the good things that we have done. And we need to make sure that when these good things are done, they are done for a purpose. And what is the purpose? To make Africa a continent that will be regarded as one that is making life better for all its people.